to me. What is it? It's a Velociraptor. It's inside.
Hi there, my name is Dinmer3000 and welcome to this tutorial. Now, I've got to get a few things out of the way first. Remember that T-Rex time-lapse that I did a long time ago, where I promised you to do a tutorial on that soon? Yeah, that was nearly 2 years ago. Seems like the definition of the term soon can be widened quite a bit. I would think most of you who watched the video when it came out have given up hoping that I would ever bring out that tutorial. And to be honest, I did too. I'm a student in university in Germany studying engineering, and as you might know, that is pretty time consuming. Adding to that, there were massive problems with recording the few attempts that I did before this last one. So eventually I stopped wanting to do this tutorial, and for nearly 2 years couldn't get myself to do it. Still, this video was requested from quite a few of you, even recently, so that's why finally I got myself to do it. So here I am, giving you what I should have given you 21 months ago. Oh well. Second thing, my channel name. I hate the name Dinmer3000. I don't even know where it came from. A döner, for your information, is a kind of Turkish fast food that we used to eat here in Germany. And when I got the name, I funnily enough have never even eaten one. And it sounds stupid. So I like you just to call me Alex, which is my actual real name. Enough of talking, let's get to what we want to do. Our plan is to model, sculpt, texture, rig, and maybe even animate our little own dinosaur, which will take us quite a lot of videos, I would assume. It's not really planned yet how many there will be, but I will just see how it turns out at the very end. In our case, it will be a Velociraptor, Jurassic Park style of course. Why that? Because there are millions of reference pictures out there and it frankly looks cool. You can do just the same or use my advices that I can give you to do any other kind of dinosaur and animal for that matter. One more thing to say before we start. I am no pro with 3D animation and my techniques may not be the most effective ways to accomplish what you want. They work out for me, so that's why I use them. I started with modeling cars, so I will be working with blueprints and mostly use hard surface modeling techniques rather than the usual sculpting and retopology. This is how I approach things, and if it works for you, you can adapt how I do it. If not, I hope you'll have a good time watching my videos and can learn one or the other thing. Also, if you've just started with Blender or 3D for that matter, this tutorial series might not be for you. There's some pretty hefty stuff that I'll do that might just be one bit too complicated and hard to start and to reproduce. So try to get a feeling for your skill level and decide whether or not you really want to start with modeling your own model. If you decide to do so, that's great. But if you just want to have a look at what others do with Blender and how they use it, you're welcome to take a look at my videos too. Either way, I hope you'll have fun and we'll learn quite a bit. Without further ado, let's finally get started. Okay, there is actually one more thing I want to talk with you about, and this one is reference pictures. Now, this is the selection of reference pictures that I have at the moment at, well, very much beginning of recording my tutorials. I've got this blueprint, which we will use to have at least some sort of information that we can base our model upon, and not just try to guess everything that we do in all the 3 dimensions of the 3-dimensional space. So I will work with a blueprint, which is this one. And then I've got those few other reference pictures too that I just got on the internet. Again, we're modeling the Jurassic Park Velociraptor because there are millions of reference pictures on the internet for this animal. And this is really the main reason why we do that. I mean, besides from that it looks cool, because reference pictures is always a great thing to have And I would really recommend you to model something where you can find the reference pictures, because without reference pictures, your model at the end will not look good. You need these pictures to get the proportions right, to get the colors right, to get the expressions right, to get the skin right. And that's where I chose this Velociraptor. Of course, there are much more pictures of the T-Rex out there, so this might even be the animal that you could find most of the pictures for. So that's why I did that the first time I molded the dinosaur. But for now, it's the Velociraptor because it's smaller and it's easier for me to model and to show you what I do, because we would not need like 500 videos to just cover modeling the entire animal, but we should be alright with just a few videos of that, and then we can move on to sculpting and doing the rest. So, first thing we're going to do, of course, is modeling our little Velociraptor right here. Great! The first thing I'm going to do is just deleting everything we've got in our empty scene. Now, I'm going to work with some background images to act as blueprints for us. I'll take just the picture that I've shown you before, this one. Alright, I'll just go into my side view mode and bring the picture up so that it fits with these lines here. Just kind of like that. Should be alright. So, I only want the view to be seen in this right view. So when we look at it from the top or from the front, we can't really see it. Perfect. Now, I'm just gonna add a plane, just as a starting point, deleting everything we don't need. So we just need one vertex, this one right here. This object will get a mirror modifier, mirroring on the x-axis with clipping enabled. What does clipping mean? It means if we extrude this vertex and bring it to the center of the model, which is right here, it will stick to the center and not go over it. And then when you're once at the center, you can just move it around and bring it back away from the center plane, but it will stay there. And this is exactly what we want, because we want to build a symmetrical model. Now, just keeping this vertex that was in the center of the model, I'll just trace around the form right here, just to get sort of basic shape right. Doesn't have to be perfectly detailed, but starting with a good amount of detail will end up saving you a little bit of time later on. So this is a perfectly good starting point for the head. I'll take a new vertex, just disenabling the clipping so I can drag it out. And now just tracing another line, like for example the mouth line. Just trying to get the basic shapes right to later on be able to fill them with faces. But for right now we don't need it yet. We'll just get sort of overview and see how it works for us later. Now, I'm going to have a look at our reference pictures, like this one, or even this one, just to have a look at what this line would look like in 3D space rather than in 2D space. And what we can see is that from about here it starts to bulge out a little bit. So this is what we're trying to reproduce. This is about here. So that's exactly what I've already done. from here starts to bulge out, just like that. And the widest point will actually be this one. So this is already great. We get out of edit mode, we can already see the symmetrical three-dimensional shapes that we've already created. Right. Next thing. The next line I want to reproduce is this one. Which is this line here. You can see it comes down to about here, and this is where it ends. Like right there. Having a look at it from the top, it should stick out about as much as this mouth line does. So this is already pretty good. No, wait, this was the mouth line. And then it comes in pretty linearly, like this. Starting to look pretty good. But is it enough? I think this one doesn't cave in as much. Yeah, it's pretty straight. But I think for a starting point, this is just perfect. And then we'll have a go at the eye. Like this. And I'll just take the proportional editing to connect it and to sharp so that we can kind of give it a nice shape like this. Just for now. We will most likely change it later on, but just for now to have a sort of starting point. And this like that. And have it a little bit less sticking out like that. Just so. Yep. Not bad at all. This is starting to look like a dinosaur. Now, next line would be this jawline down here. So this one, pretty much. With this line we can see that it kind of turns down right here, and we can see this as a sort of extension of this line. So I'll just do that. Getting it from up here and then pulling it down to here somehow. And back forth so that it meets up with the mouth line again. Yep, already pretty good. Now, to the nostrils. Okay, sort of start up here, go around like that, and meet up here again. Now, by the way, this was double R to rotate it in both directions that are not the axis, the view axis. Just a nice little tip for you, which will help you quite a lot. Yep. Looking pretty good. One more thing, we've got this line here, which I'd also like to reproduce, which is this one. Like so. And with doing that, we can just extend this one like an ellipse around here. You can also see this on my T-Rex model. I've done it. It's pretty much the same thing. Like so. And then giving it a shape. And this is, yeah. This is the upper edge, and this is the lower edge. So that's okay. Okay, pretty happy with it. This line that we made here should also be visible on this side, I think. So this is what I'm going to reproduce now. Going from here up to here. Okay, so this is pretty much everything that I want to do to get the basic shape of it right. And I'm pretty happy with what it looks like right now. Next thing I'm going to do is start filling out the gaps. So, I want to start with the eye. You can just, well, basically extrude the loop outwards, scale a little bit on the x-axis. Get the proportions right, and this is just what we're going to start with. And extending this around the other edges, maybe extruding this one to have about the same vertex count as what we have on the eye, like this. And then hitting W and E to bridge the edge loops. No, wait a second. We'll first have to align these a little bit. Makes things easier. And then we can see that this kind of bulges out quite a bit to get up to these. Those stand out quite a lot compared to the eyes. And then because we can't see anything, just hit Control and N to recalculate the normals so that we can see again. I'll just keep it on flat for a moment because this makes things easier when modeling in this low amounts of detail. Okay, that's pretty much step one. I'll kind of see a line going around here. So, making this kind of shape. And then this could just be second loop. Just following the other one, like that. It's all about, you know, kind of guessing how the perfect mesh would look like for the edges and forms that we have right here. But this method kind of always worked for me, so this is what I stuck with. And I think if you've got a little bit of training, this should just work fine for you too. It's just the exercise that makes things perfectly the way they are. You really have to practice a little bit to get your skills to a level where you are happy with it. That's really all that matters. Now I'm not entirely happy with this. I'm just gonna get these out a bit more. To give it a little bit more form. This is starting to get really good. It's all just extruding, filling the faces, moving them a little bit, the vertices, and trying to get the things right this way. Now this could be a very good point to join these loops, to have one less loop going around down here, because we don't need this much detail down here, like that for example. Oops. And then here we've got a problem, because in this hole we have, as you can see, 6 verts, so that's not actually a problem at all. Well, and here I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna make a big old face of this, using the knife tool to get this shape right. Just like that. Already looking pretty good. Now, moving on, I'm going to bridge this one just to get a starting point, and then moving this one out. Making a face of this, and of these all. Always hitting with the wrong keys, even though I don't really want to. Now I want a little bit more detail in this area, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm trying to get a few more vertices in here, like that for example. And then, well, kind of like this. Does this work? Kind of does for now. Maybe I'll get to this area later on, but for now it just, well, it's just okay. I'll worry about that later. Maybe it will get me some headache, but for right now it's just okay. A few more edges down here. Now here we've got a problem. As you can see, we have 5 vertices around this hole. Now if you want to get everything squared like we have right here, everything with faces with 4 vertices, then every hole that you have to fill should have an even amount of vertices around it. This one has 5, so this is not really working. What we have to do is actually give this one more vertex by subdividing it. Now we have 6, and now we have the possibility to fill it up with only quads. Well, with 5 vertices, we wouldn't have the possibility to do that. But that's just fine. Filling up these. And now we kind of have to make these the same number. So I'm just going to give this a little bit more resolution to it. Bridging these loops again. Making a loop cut right here. Filling the gap. Calling it a day. Recalculating the normals again. Okay. Well, this is exactly what I meant. I just tried to figure out how to get this triangle out of the way. But as you can see, this one has 6 vertices around it. So this is an even number. We can get this one filled with only quads. But this is a triangle. So we have somehow a triangle that we have to work around. And we're going to do that by kind of getting this loop to get out of the mesh. And this is by getting to an edge of the mesh, which is this one, where it like goes into the nothingness, if you understand what I mean. This way, we have a face with 5 vertices and one with 3. So we're even again. If we have 2 odd ones, we can just merge these two. And then we are left with only quads, as you can see. This is exactly what we want. I really wanted one more loop cut around here, but then again, I didn't want this loop cut, so this could be a problem too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give this one more subdivision, so that we have an odd number here. No, wait. Yeah, this is an odd number. So we can kind of delete this one. Get these merged. This face filled. And then these two. And this edge dissolved. So this is, yeah, this should look pretty good. Same problem again. 5 vertices around a face. So we're gonna get one loop going out of the mesh right here, and then we can fill everything with quads again. Now, why do you want everything filled with quads? The reason is we're going to put a subdivision surface modifier on this model when it's finished. And the subdivision surface modifiers work best with quads on your model. They do work if you have triangles or like faces with bigger numbers of vertices around them, called n-gons. So if they have 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever, the modifier will be able to deal with them, but it will never look as good as if you fill it all with just quads. So this is exactly what we're doing right here. We're just trying to not get this problem later on in the process. Okay. always remember to save your stuff. Just hit File and then save it. And I would really recommend you to every now and then just hit Shift and S, no, Control and S, to save a project so that you don't lose it if your PC crashes down, or if you accidentally close Blender, or if Blender crashes down, which happens, well, every now and then. Just remember to do it, just get used to it, and you won't have the problem to later on have to reload the autosave and then maybe even have a few minutes of work lost, which is quite annoying sometimes. Now, this is it for the first part. See you again in the next episode.